Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Let's say that you've been married for a long time and you love each other and you support each other and everything's more or less going along fine, right? And then your spouse comes home one day and out of the blue says, "Honey, I just got into Scientology today. You need to be okay with that. And also you're going to get into it a little bit down the road yourself. And if you're not okay with that, then I'm going to have to leave, the family and everything else." That's basically the situation that my mother faced in a nutshell. Maybe I'm being a little metaphoric or sarcastic, but that's basically what happened. And so I ask you, if that actually happened in your life, as moon lunatic batshit as that is, what would you do? How would you handle that? After you were done freaking out, I would imagine that you, and therefore my mother, at some point would have calculated the cost loss benefits. First of all, she'd have to find out, like she did, after a couple weeks that he was serious about this. Because when he first hit her with that, she didn't understand what was going on, just like I didn't. So it took her about a week or two to understand. And then she was faced with the scenario of, okay, this is serious. So after calculating the cost loss benefit, and I would say going against her own instincts, she decided to allow my dad to go down, or to take her down and have her check it out. And so she went through the same thing he did, and the same thing that I eventually ended up going through. Because like I said, it spreads like a cancer or a virus from one person to the next to the next. There's no such thing as Scientology coming into the family and it doesn't eventually spread to everybody, to one degree or another. And even if it doesn't spread to a family member and they decide not to become a Scientologist, it will affect the living shit out of their family dynamic and their life in general by having parents or siblings that are Scientologists. So anyways, my mother goes down and takes the personality test. They found her ruin. And here's the deal with my mother. Unlike my father, it's his thing, so she wouldn't really have ever been into it unless she was faced with that dilemma that he presented to her. I would say even today, see, here's the thing. She's been in it for so long and she's so programmed and she so thinks and acts like a Scientologist. But at the same time, it's been kind of hard to push her up the bridge, whereas me and my dad just did it willingly. Once I got into it, he got into it right away. My mother, it was never really her thing. I know she wouldn't say that's true, but she's done a lot of Scientology, I would say, mostly because my dad's into it, and she doesn't want to have the thing fall apart. There's so many lies built up and so much pressure to keep this facade together in my family that it's almost unbreakable. Or if it does break, it's, going to cause a serious problem. So anyways, my mother took her time in taking to it. But eventually, I'd say after about anywhere between a year to 2 years, they were working together to work on me. Because as I said previously in one of the other videos, I was the one having the most problems. I was the black sheep, so I needed the most help, i.e. the most Scientology. So once my mother got into it, everything about Scientology is super militant. There's no such thing as being lazy. And it's all about work, 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 exchange, exchange, exchange. Outflow equals inflow. And the more you do it, i.e. the more you work, the more you hustle, the more you get back. Now that's of course a truism in life in general. But the way they manipulate that, when I was a kid, to have to, for example, I mean, this isn't that bad, but it's kind of funny, and it's just a small example. When I was 14 years old, that was the legal age to get a job. And unlike the other kids playing out during summertime after high school, my mother said, motherfucker, as soon as you turn 14, the legal age, your ass is getting a job. You're going to start making some fucking money and contributing to your rent or your family and all this bullshit. This wouldn't have happened if this Scientology shit didn't come in, because everything got very exchange oriented. There was no such thing as a free ride. Parents start really helping their kids in a way to help them. It's more, like I said, there's a third party or an intruder or a predator telling you the way you need to do everything. And one of those things is you have to work your fucking ass off. And the problem with me is that I was always like a right brain artist, and my parents are the opposite of that. It's the weirdest thing. They're absolutely left brain, follow the system, fucking follow the rules. So with or without Scientology, we would have definitely had a conflict, but let's just say it amplified that. So I got my first job at fucking McDonald's, which I ended up getting fired from because I told some poor old lady to go fuck herself because I was going insane having to work there over the summer while my friends and all the hot chicks would come in and I looked like a dipshit, you know, working at fucking McDonald's. I mean, maybe it's not a big deal, but it felt like a serious, like, you know, ego fucking slam at the time. So anyways, and then when I got fired from that, this just went on and on and on. I literally got fired from every single job I've ever had, minus the landscape job, which was my own job. So of course I can't fire myself since I was the owner. So that's one small example of there was no shortcuts. There was no not exchanging. There was no not working. That's one of the things that my mom took on in the family that wouldn't have happened as much for sure if Scientology, through my father, didn't start affecting all of us. And that went for everybody, my sister included. Think of it like you have the regular family problems, dynamics, and of course you need to work and exchange. And then like amplify it times 1,000, because Scientology takes what could be possibly a good concept and then amplifies it for mind control, psychological torture, and basically fucking working your dick off and never being able to enjoy a single moment. That's one of the hardest things getting out of Scientology, is learning how to relax and not save the goddamn planet. So my mom basically was on board at this point, 2 years deep, to save the planet, get me and my sister's ass on board. And again, my mom was never really doing it for any other reason that I think she was trying to subconsciously, and probably is till this day, keep the fucking family together. It's not her thing. The thing is, if she would probably be the one that would be most likely to snap out of it. But because of the programming, this is a point I made before, because of the programming that she's been through over about 30 years, you can't just leave it physically. She would still be a Scientologist, even though she might want to, and it might not be her thing. Let's say my father got out of it, she'd probably go right with it. But whether or not she'd ever deprogram, that's another story entirely. Anyways, when I look back at the situation, I can't blame my mother for the choice she made. I don't know what choice I would have made, and she probably thought she was doing the right thing after weighing it out. But little did she know what unbelievable effect that would have on all the family members, and then some. Anybody that has a family full of Scientologists has a profound effect on the relatives and all the people around that aren't Scientologists that worry about said brainwashed family. Dear Mother and Father, ever since I can remember, all I wanted to do was be an actor. I remember you used to tell me that as soon as I could string sentences together, I said, I need to become an actor or I'm going to die. I need to become an actor or I'm going to die. You said I used to say that around the house all the time. Look at me now, Mother. I finally arrived in my early 30s. It only took 20 years. Are you proud of me? Were you proud of me? Why did you have to let that puppet master into our house, Mother? We would have been just fine without it. And what the hell did this have to do with anything called life? Why did you put me on those soup cans when I was 9 years old and ask me if I pulled the air cover off of a planet? or if I had any secrets that I was keeping from you. I never became a badass cult leader like L. Ron Hubbard, who fucked around with the master rocket scientist, Jack Parsons. But I played one on TV.